Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nuscale Power. It is time for another update, and today we actually start with a parenthesis before we get into the actual data, the actual levels. If you want you can skip ahead, but I believe this is actually of quite high value. So right now I am paying close attention to the energy sector. There are multiple players within this industry that are creating setup after setup, that are presenting opportunities where most of these stocks have a potential of 10 to 20x realistically. It could go even higher than that. We will be covering them today and tomorrow, and we actually already presented one such opportunity yesterday. And sure, there is the possibility that this will not pan out as it is ideal, that the energy play will not be a successful follow-through. But even then, I am actually still looking for a setup within many of these stocks. I am looking at a potential 2 to 5x, even in the eventuality that the larger structure does not manage to form the extension we are actually seeking. If you're interested in yesterday's opportunity, it's a public video on YouTube. I'm talking about the EOS Energy Enterprises. And if you want to keep up to date, as I find these opportunities and get the setups that I identify significantly earlier, and realistically even setups that I do not get to post on YouTube because there's so many opportunities currently that I do not get to make a video on each and every single one of them. But if you're a serious investor and you want to follow these opportunities along with me, sign up to our free channel newsletter, and I will be telling you tomorrow how you can actually do that. Now, getting to the actual structure on this chart, I am watching still this idea of a larger 1-2 setup. Nothing has really changed from a larger time frame perspective. We are still looking at this support zone between $15.3 down to $3.8, and I'm still looking for the reversal to new all-time highs from this region. This doesn't mean that this wave 2 has a bottom in place, but I can actually already start looking for one because this structure is able to form the reversal from the current prices. And not only that, but since the previous video, we have managed to even create what can be considered an initial 5V move to the upside within a smaller time frame, which is exactly a confirmation that we are looking for at least one more high in another wave to the upside. Now, let's keep in mind the context. We are still able to track this overall development, this overall structure to the downside as a 5-wave pattern. We have been considering that. We have been tracking an area of resistance between $18.1 up to $38.5. And before we break the 78.6% retracement, there is still significant pressure that we would extend within a reset of this wave 2 in yellow. This, however, doesn't prevent me from looking for an actual opportunity at the moment, because within the smaller time frame, I see enough of a confirmation to look for a trade setup that I would expect typically to take me into this area of resistance. We could be going quite high within it, we could even break it, but the trade setup is there. We do not need to worry right now how far we will be heading. We do not need to worry if this is a relief rally or something more at the moment, because I am looking for an internal trade setup within this structure, and again, it could lead to significantly more. Now, in this structure to the downside, we have had a couple of ideas. We have been looking for this to have been, as I was saying, a 5V move to the downside within this as a wave A. We have been looking for this to potentially be building still this idea of an ABC structure, where realistically this wave C could be complete. I actually do see this possibility, but I am not oblivious to the scenario where we get another low within this wave 5 of this wave C. And even here, I have a couple of options. This wave A could have bottomed here. Theoretically, this wave B could have topped here. It wouldn't have been exactly ideal, but really neither scenario within this idea of an ABC structure is ideal. Nonetheless, we are watching for internal resistance in this blue structure up to $15.7. If we get a sustained break above that, I will have to fully fall back on this idea of a B wave in orange or the potential wave 2 bottom in yellow, which would allow me to look for the complete reversal to new all-time highs. Within this wave B in orange, I would still be expecting to reach at least $18, right? The 38.2% retracement is typically expected to be reached within such a correction. Now, what am I tracking internally? Well, I am looking, as I was saying, for an initial 5 move to the upside within this area. I can, of course, track it as a 3-wave pattern, but that is not a particular preference for me. I do prefer the idea of a 5-wave pattern. And for that, I am tracking this count where we would have a wave 1 up here, a wave 2 down here, a wave 3 up, a wave 4 down, and this would be my wave 5 to the upside. This would have built a leading diagonal within the wave 1. I can now track an area of support, a trade setup within a wave 2 at the levels between $11.8 down to $9.8, and the great benefit of such an area is that I have clear levels of support. I know that if I get a sustained break below the 78.6% retracement, I will most likely see a complete failure of this idea of an extension to higher prices. Now, we have here depicted this idea of a wave 3 taking place, which would be wonderful, it would be ideal, but to be clear, that is not necessary. We could be realistically forming just a larger A, B, C pattern within the orange wave B. Now, in either case, I am looking for one more high within this structure. It could be within the orange wave B. It could be even just a reset of this wave 4, and we might not even break the area of resistance. But frankly, at this point I do not care because I'm looking for a trade setup within either scenario, and I do have quite favorable risk-reward ratios as we have gotten decently deep within this support zone for a reversal to the upside, right? If I were to buy, for example, at the 50% retracement, which personally I did, I would be looking at a downside of, let's say we give a little bit of room in case we get a slight break below this last level of support, but yeah, we do not want to see a sustained break. Let's say I am willing to lose 15% within this movement. Well, even within the wave 4 in blue, I would typically be looking to form probably at least 30% in gains, right? If I had actually formed a bottom within a wave C in orange, which would only get to the first level of resistance, I could be looking at 61%. Within a wave 3, well, I would expect even more than that, because I can actually give some targets here. So, if we are to have already formed a bottom within this movement to the downside, I would be looking for the ideal target for a wave C to be the 100% extension of the wave A. This would be $17.4. The 78.6% extension is also a common target for the wave C, but it's generally drawn towards the 100% extension. This 78.6% extension is actually above what we cited for a 30% increase, right? And I would typically expect to get at least there within the wave C. Then, if I were to be looking for the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, which is the ideal target for a wave 3, from the 50% retracement, well, I would be looking at 86%. So this is already more than 5.5 times the risk I am assuming when buying a position at these levels. Now, to be clear, there is never any guarantee that a setup, that a structure will work out. That is why we find this setup so interesting, because it is providing us clear levels of support that we expect to continue to higher prices against. Now let's talk a bit about the internal structure. So within this development, in this wave 2 in yellow, I am looking at a potential WXY structure. This would allow me to actually assume a bottom to potentially be in place. And since we have a quite clear A, B, C structure within this area, it is rather important that we do not extend to even lower prices, right? Because typically I would be starting within the plan of an A, B, C structure. So having such a pattern in place, as we have within this development, might be rather suggestive of a double 1-2-1-2 setup if we do not manage to form the reversal. Now we have to make some considerations when considering these ideas. It is within a very small time frame. It might be creating distortions, it might be creating a different pattern, to be honest, and I am personally not going to change my plan based on the count itself. I am personally still watching the levels of support for continuation to higher prices. I do not care too much about the actual internal structure, but the way it has developed does allow me to identify a potentially full count within this as a wave 2 in yellow. It does allow me to look for the reversal, and I won't even spend the time to go into the smaller time frame to identify what has so far formed, because it is within an even smaller time frame. So for now, I am going to be patiently watching how this further develops. I have my plan in place. I know what I am looking for, I know the potential of this chart and the plenty of stocks that are within this sector and present quite great opportunities. Yeah, the energy sector is actually quite interesting right now. I am also considering some commodities, some other assets as well within this opportunity. But for now, we will stop here. Sign up to the free newsletter. If there is any issue, send me an email and we will take it from there. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership. And other than that, let me know what else you'd like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I wish you a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.